Since the first photograph, in 1839, photography has been used to capture and document events. People were able to see events for themselves through these images. Newspapers started using photos, and photojournalism was born, and we have never looked back. And now, in current day and age, we all rely on photojournalism to tell us what's going on around the world. As technology has improved, so has our means to communicate news, from using wet plates on battlefields, to the first 35mm camera, to the digital camera. Photography has come a long way, and with it the ability to report more and more. Alongside the camera, the internet was born, and has quickly become one of the quickest places to share news. Whenever something huge in the world happens today, be it natural disasters or war, images can now reach us through social media sites such as Twitter, Flickr and Facebook, and become available for us to view. Many of these photos taken from camera phones and ready available equipment that can be bought by anyone. So does that mean that anyone that has a camera phone to quick shoot digital camera can be a photojournalist? And what does this mean for photojournalists putting themselves in danger and in war zones to capture the perfect shot for a story? Where does the new age of digital media leave them? For my first example, let's look at the events on the 15th of January 2009, known as the Miracle on Hudson. A plane was forced to land filled with passengers in the Hudson River. Shortly after landing, photos of the plane were uploaded onto Twitter by eyewitness Janice Crumbs with a photo camera, and in doing so, beating the media to it. This is just one example of how the use of a camera phone and the internet can threaten paid journalists. It takes time for a journalist to get to an event because first they must be aware of the news. But when there are so many people now with camera phones and social media accounts, it makes it almost impossible to beat the public. Verification can be a problem when an image is sourced through social media sites. The context of an image and the attribution are easily lost when it becomes retweeted or shared. Anyone can simply copy and paste an image and then retweet it out again, making it impossible to find the true ownership of an image. If a newspaper was to use the image, how do they know who the true photographer is? How does the organisation distribute and supply a financial transaction without the knowledge of the owner? For my next example, Daniel Morrell started a legal fight against Agency France Presse, Getty Images and other parties such as CBS, CNN and ABC for using without authorization of his Haiti images from the earthquake. Within an hour of the photographs being taken and Daniel Morrell uploading them onto his Twitter feed, they appeared on front pages of hundreds of newspapers worldwide. When taken to court, Morrell's actions led to criticism from Visa Pour Images director Jean-Francois Leroy, who said, by uploading his images on the internet, he was exposing himself to theft. Judge Pauly wrote in the court order, quote, by posting photos on the internet, Morrell wanted to break the news of the earthquake, retain his copyrights, and receive credit and compensation for licensing his photos. Judge Pauly also pointed out, quote, numerous American and foreign news outlets emailed Morrell and posted on TwitPic asking to purchase his photos for publication. Daniel Morrell's iconic images have now gone on to win first prize in the Spot News category and second prize in Spot News singles. This is just one case of news organisations getting it on the wrong side of copyright and the issues that come with social media. But I still think that social media now is always and will always be a huge part of how we receive the news through our images. In some cases, social media can aid the real journalists in becoming a valuable source when found in conflict zone. Not only can some of the public in these zones use social media to report what's going on when journalists are unable to reach such places, but journalists themselves can use the same means when it is not suitable to have a large camera to hand. If we look at the news story when a group of journalists who were held hostage for 5 days in a luxury hotel Tripoli journalists had been held at gunpoint by a gunman loyal to Colonel Gaddafi. The reporters were still able to communicate with the outside world and would tweet anything that happened, and was also able to get some filmed footage inside the hotel out, as well as live reporting for news channels. Without the means of social media, none of this would have been possible, and the few days they were held hostage would have gone unknown. All of this also helped to communicate into the hotel to the hostages, getting them released and taken to safety by the Red Cross. I now want you to look at these images. Do you understand or see the events being reported from these 3 images? And now I want you to look at the next 3 images. Do you recognise these? I think most of you will say yes. The first 3 images that I showed you, and the second 3 images, are all from the same events, but the first 3 were took with camera phones and used on a few websites and newspapers. And in the last 3 were taken by photojournalists and are still used today to cover the stories of those events. When being a photojournalist, an important key is to be able to tell a story. To get a message across, you have to be able to create an image that will stand the test of time, and an image that will become part of history.
I've only been shooting in the digital age, really. I touched analog at school sort of 10 years ago, but I immediately wanted to shoot digital at school, even though I didn't like that. It was obviously, they were scared of the changeover. It's almost an old debate now. It's there, it's in place. You take a picture, it goes online, it gets bought, or it doesn't get bought. So 5 or 10 years ago, or probably even more now, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you obviously have to shoot it analog, dev it in the back of the van if you wanted it really quick, if you stuff drive around with dev vans, dark rooms in their cars. Print it there, and then get a courier to take it to the newspaper for them to print it. You can take a picture, have it on your laptop within 2 minutes, and get it online for newspapers to buy, 5 minutes later or even quicker. The first images that came out of the last Olympics were photographed online and then in print 45 seconds later. It shows how much it's moved on from the analog days. The dongle technology's come on a long way. Sort of 5 years ago, you'd be whooping if you got a K a second, but I submit pictures after doing stuff on the motorway, showing 70 miles an hour on the motorway, getting 50K a second, which it sends, you can get 20 pictures online in 5 minutes, which is a huge leap in how fast you can get your pictures up from any location. I sort of started about a year ago as a blog, which gets a lot of hits. I don't know how many of them translate into actual picture sales, but it gets a lot of hits because the blogs are indexed by Google very quickly. So you put pictures on there with your keywords, and the Google spiders pick them up quickly. You could talk about citizen journalism, which has a lot of issues surrounding it. For one, you could say that it sort of undermines the rest of the industry, as a lot of newspapers will use a picture from an amateur. And there are a lot of ethical issues with that in the past images have been set up and sent in and printed. And that's not journalism, that's PR. On the positive side, it gets the news story out a lot quicker if you're a professional working journalist. Well, as a freelance, you get information from various places. You get information from doing your research online, from knowing people. Sometimes people call you up, which is, I think, always been the case with photojournalism, with the media. And being freelance, you can pick and choose what you want to do, but that's generally how you get your information. You monitor your Twitter on either your phone or your computer. You read the information if it's some information about an event happening, and you get on the tube or you get in your car, you drive there and take the pictures, and you upload them to the server and they can be downloaded for print. Good example at the moment, if you want to look at tweeting, there's the Labour leadership campaign. If you look at their Twitters, you can see what they're doing in terms of speaking to the people, the voters, talking about their policies and what they agree, don't agree with. There's a good example at the moment. you want to look at a good way Twitter was used by an anti-fascist movement, the United Against Fascism group, was when they egged Nick Griffin on College Green there when he was doing a press conference. That was tweeted, and the world media turned up 30 minutes late. Well, turned up as quick as they could, and 30 minutes later, he got egged. And that's one example of Twitter being used by the media and by protest groups. But in terms of it being a source of information constantly, it sort of keeps you in the know, provided you have you're following the right people. But it doesn't produce pictures very often, it doesn't go here for this picture, it doesn't happen very often. So the last elections, you have to call to register to be general election accredited for the campaigns, which I got all three accreditations from main parties. And then they just email out operational notes of where they're going to be, at what time, and email back on some of them if you want to attend, but most of them are in a field or a big community hall, so anyone can turn up and take pictures if you're accredited. I don't know exactly why. I presume they would like to know who the people are taking their pictures, which isn't something really new. There are rumours they CRB check people. They probably do. I don't know for sure. I suspect they do, especially prime ministerial stuff, for obvious reasons. So they want to know who's coming, I think, and they can estimate if they're going somewhere. Yeah, we've got 20 confirmed stills, we've got 10 confirmed broadcasts, a couple of radio or something. So they know maybe how much time they're going to have to spend there as well doing the interview.